Hey, welcome back. We have some scales here, just in from Flytanium. Ordered these just a few days ago too, so the shipping came very quickly. Love that. Sometimes it's not even just the shipping, it's like how fast do they get it in the mail? And these guys did a great job, so definitely big props to Flytanium for getting this out quickly. All right, and these are for the Banter, which is exciting. And I specifically got this version of it because if you've been on the channel, you'll know I've got this blue. I actually just love this one as it sits, aside from the lack of a cutout here. So I went and bought a separate one for this project because I actually just am a big believer in the Banter. And I thought this would be a really cool one to have the Flytanium scales on it because like everything would match and stuff. So let's see what we think. This is something I've been saying for a while, was that if they made a titanium version of the Banter, that'd be really cool, especially if they put some relief for the thumb studs, because that's like one of the very few criticisms. Thumb studs, and it's actually less the thumb studs, more the lock bar. There's just no relief there to get to the lock bar. You can see you can just barely get to it there. I don't know if it's the lock bar itself or whatever, so we're gonna see when this is all said and done if this makes some significant improvements to make this knife better. So I believe these are, it looks like some of the liners do lay into here, but these are titanium, they're milled out. They've got some nice relief there. Let's see if we can kind of get a sense of how different it is versus original. This is kind of like one of my things, was it may have some, maybe knocked down a little bit, but is it actually brought back? And it's not really brought back very much. So we'll see how much of an improvement this really makes. I'm not so sure that that's exactly what I was looking for, but it may be what you're looking for. So we will see. So let's go ahead and take this guy apart. And you know, part of it's also just, can a knife with this great action be that much better if you put a more premium scale on it? Which, you know, they've done some carbon fiber scales and that kind of stuff on these, but they haven't done titanium. So that was one of the other things I was kind of curious about. So we will see what we think once we get this guy all taken apart here. One of the things that I've enjoyed about these are, I think they are all T8, if I recall correctly. Maybe the pocket clip is T6. I'll double check here. I thought they were all T8. It looks like the pocket clip might actually still be T6, so that's kind of a bummer. Let's see. Yeah, almost feels like it's like a T7 or something. A little loose. So we will take it all apart and throw everything back together on the titanium scales. This should be a pretty straightforward process, I think, from what I know about this knife, but I actually have not broken down a Banter before, so we'll see as we go. Get these guys over here. Using the new tool board here. I don't know if you call it tool board, but that's kind of cool how they have this internal liner here, so you can see the equivalent here. Pretty well designed to mirror that. Definitely a bit heavier, so you're probably adding, I don't know, maybe half an ounce to an ounce with the titanium scales, which is unfortunate, but not the biggest deal in the world either. I think the benefit outweighs the cost here. This is completely factory. I've never carried this knife or used it, so just gonna be leaving it alone in terms of, where did my T8 go? In terms of cleaning it and stuff. Normally I'd go through and clean it when I'm doing this, but I think we're gonna be able to pretty much just swap everything over really quickly and see what we think. Feel free to fast forward right ahead if you're not too interested in this part of the process. And no love lost. This guy's a little stuck in here. Let's see. See if there's a good way to get this out of here. This one came out, which wasn't even the one I was working on, but this other one doesn't. So I may go offline for a second, come back and finish this on another video once I figure out how to get that out. All right, I was able to get this out of here. I had to just give this a really hard whack against a rubber doorstop was what I chose to use, just so it wouldn't damage this. Goal was not to make this knife unusable if I decided that I don't like this scales. So we now have the last piece out and we can start putting together the titanium. Of course, now it's a little harder because I've moved all the parts into different places, but we'll see how it goes here. Feels like this all seats in pretty well. Let's see, this guy goes over here. Some of this stuff is a little greasy where it doesn't need to be, so I'm gonna just take a little off as I do it here. Might as well have a nice clean install. And let's see, so this is going to sit into this side. Not a terrible fit. And we can start to put it back together. So this does have like a little directionality to it, so I'll have to figure that out. Let's see. Looks like this should go here, and then it should fit in there okay. So there we go. Order of operations, always very important to do this in the right order. So that guy goes over there. This guy goes over here, and I got a feeling the best way to do this is to lock that piece in. Think about that for a second. Maybe not, we'll see. So I'll go ahead and put a little touch of this here. And make sure I'm thinking about this all correctly. Stop pin. Oops, probably want to make sure we get the bearings on. That'll help with performance. This slides on right there. All right, let's see what the best way is to do this. So I guess you could do it like this and then just sort of pinch it all together, but I'm not sure how well this will work. Let's give it a try. Yeah, not bad, that'll work. Probably not the best way to do it, but workable. Now I'll just put these pins in the back to kind of hold things together. Now I'm trying to remember. So there were one, two. This guy's gonna go up here, so might as well just throw him in while I have the T8 on. And then this should be, I think this is all the small screws. The T6 here. This is coming together nice and quickly and easily. Very serviceable knife. I just did a service on my mini bug out the other day. Definitely a lot harder working with an axis lock. I'm sure over time you become extremely proficient, but I only do an axis lock breakdown once every few months, and remembering like where the springs go versus the scales. Do they go inside the liner, outside the liner, all that stuff. It's definitely a little more complex than what I'm seeing here. So I love the ease of this so far is quite nice. Just more of a thing about the knife than the scales themselves, honestly. And let's get these T8s on the other side really quickly, and we should be good to go. I'll just work on getting the pivot screw the right tension so that we're not giving ourselves issue with our lock bar access. And I believe we will have ourselves a titanium wee banter, which is something I've been wanting for as long as I've had my wee banter, honestly. Okay, let's get those in decently. This all looks correct here. And then we'll just get lockup tension to a reasonable place. Sweet, I think that all just came together super easily, actually. Do I have good centering? I do have good centering. Do I have, I did not add lubricant very well on there. Doesn't seem to matter. And there we go. That was not bad. That was a pretty darn easy process. I'm just gonna go back on the other side with the T6, and look at that relief that you get on the lock bar, immediately noticeable. So that is, I don't know how I didn't notice that when I put them side by side. It didn't really manifest, but that is exactly what I was looking for when I did this process, was that extra relief. And now we have a titanium wee banter that is feeling very good. So let's get these pocket clip screws tightened up. Always prefer to do things with the blade folded where I can for safety. I'm not going to overdo it on this. You certainly want your pocket clip screws tight, but T6 hardware, lessons learned along the way is to not over tighten. I've got good lockup, good access to the lock bar, pretty good feel in hand. I'll say, like, one of the things about this, because it has this, you know, pretty graded lock bar, it doesn't feel great. Like, you do feel that. It gives you a little hot spot. So I imagine that's part of why on these original ones they optimized for the ergos and the feel in hand versus the lock bar access, because the way the lock bar is designed, you feel it just a bit. It's not bad. It's you know, not too noticeable. It kind of depends how you grab the knife, but that is kind of there. Would love an all titanium pivot, you know, maybe a little less branded, or even just, it could be even, maybe I could even do it, but you know, get rid of the black there so it all kind of matches, and this would be pretty freaking sweet. So overall feels good. Now let's take a look at the weight difference on one versus the other, because I'm kind of curious. It definitely feels a bit heftier, and the Banter is already not the lightest knife ever. It's not heavy by any means, but it's not like super light. Non-milled slab G10's not going to be your lightest possible design. So let's see what we see here on the weight. So a regular wee Banter, 2.85 ounces, pretty darn light, all things considered, for about 3 inches or 3.75, whatever it is, of cutting edge. 3.65. So you do pick up, you know, 3/4 of an ounce or so. So that's considerable. If you're just going for weight optimization, this is not going to feel as light in the pocket and stuff. But man, it does do all the things that we want it to, which is to make the thumb studs a little more accessible. Can even go lefty here. Just such good action on these knives that I actually feel confident doing that. Reverse flick feels great. I may have over tightened it slightly on the pivot because some of my action is a little more sluggish on the drop, but it's not bad. Let's get this out of here. yeah, I'd say that came together quite nicely, quite quickly. Flytanium, certainly appreciate that they make this because I think a lot of us wanted it for this knife. It's something that's been kind of missing in the Banter lineup, has been a titanium scaled version, and I don't know if they could do it this well, candidly. This is quite nice. I'm kind of curious about some of these other cutouts. Like there's some cutouts here and stuff, and I'm kind of curious what the goal was of that. Like, does that make it so you can, you know, get a little better purchase here? How do things feel overall? Pretty darn good. I like it. I really, I think this is a great upgrade. I'm gonna have to carry that and see what I think, because you know, one of my theories was a Banter with full tie scales could be a really at $200, because about $100 for the knife and $100 for the scales. You know, call it $220 conservatively. Does this compete with the likes of the Oz Roosevelt, the SPK Lamia? Like I can't even deploy it myself. So the Brown knives, Mini FSD, right? There's some really great knives that are kind of these full titanium mid-tech knives that are going to cost you $700 to $1,000, depending on whether you get them at table or on the secondary. And although it's not quite on the level of those, damn, it's not far off. And that's kind of been my theory this whole time, is if you got the right scales on this, you've got a knife from an action perspective and a feel perspective that's like, you know, for being a third of the price on the secondary market, or even at table. I mean, even at table prices is a third to a fifth of the price. But man, it's pretty freaking good. It's a little heavier than this guy, a little lighter than this guy, and pretty similar to this guy, I'd say. Maybe a little lighter even than that guy. Yeah, it is a really compelling option. It doesn't feel as made in China as the average, you know, knife coming out of that region of the world at a very reasonable price. It's got a nice little heft to it. I'd say we accomplished the goal here. So cool stuff, cool knife. I'll have to thread these videos together since I had to remove that one part. But overall, very happy with the results here. So that's all for now. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.